Yo, what's going on? Yo, this is Vitamin the Governor, and this is Talking Rock, your one-stop shop for rock. I would like to wish everyone a Happy New Year, and today we have a very, very special guest. This is going to be a legendary one. This is going to be an epic one. This is someone right here that without him, when you mention rock, uprocking, this guy's name comes to the forefront automatically. Today I'm sitting here with none other than Ralph Casanova, Mr. King Uprock. What's
How you
going
doing,
on,
brother?
man?
God bless, brother. Thank you.
How's your 2020 so far?
As long as I'm awake, I wake up every morning. I got my job. My family's healthy. That's the best thing in the world.
Nice. It's good to hear that. All right, man. Of course, you have such a storied past, a storied history, so much history. We might have to do a part 2 or 3 or 4. You know what I mean? You can make a movie out of your life from all the stories and all the conversations we've had. But we're gonna talk about rock here. Let's take it back to the beginning for people that don't know. Like, where did you grow up? What neighborhood did you grow up?
I was born in the Bronx, on Tiffany and Amboy, and at the age of 5, my parents, the landlord was telling my parents they were going to burn the building down because people from Vietnam, was coming from the war, wasn't paying rent, and back in the day, that's when they were burning the Bronx down. So my father had his mother who lived over here on Clinton in Brooklyn, and what happened was she gave him some money to buy a house, and we bought our house in Cornelia and Wilson. It was 225 Cornelia Wilson, and we moved from the Bronx to Brooklyn, to Bushwick.
And growing up in Bushwick, like, what made Bushwick compared to other neighborhoods in Brooklyn? You have Fort Greene, you have Park Slope, you have all different types of neighborhoods in Brooklyn. What made Bushwick?
Well, to tell you the truth, as a young kid, 5, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, you're not knowing what other people are doing in other parts of Brooklyn unless you have family who you go to their house or they're having a party and you get to see stuff. I mean, I still have people, my family still lived in the Bronx. My cousin Neil, he's an old school graffiti writer, he writes that too. And I have other cousins who DJ and stuff like that they stood in the Bronx. We moved from the Bronx, we came to Bushwick. But growing up was funny because when I first moved to Bushwick, I was into martial arts because I was a Bruce Lee fanatic. I love Bruce Lee. And my mother was putting me into martial arts classes, and I saw the gangs like they fighting but with music, and I was like, as a young kid, like, what are they doing? I didn't know what it was, And I had a friend of mine, Felipe, who lived next door, and his brother used to hang out. His sister used to go out with one of the rebels. And I asked him, told his sister, what are they doing? And she explained to me, and I said, because I do martial arts and I like boxing. So that's when I started to fall in love with the rock dance.
Nice.
Yeah.
So speaking of rock, at what age and what year did you first start seeing what came to be
Well,
rock?
at 6 years old, it was more I started seeing it, and back then nobody taught nobody. It wasn't like you teach anyone. You had to look.
Yeah.
And what I was doing was every time there was a black party or the guys were in the corner drinking, and they started dancing with they had their little radio, and they would dance, and I would see it. That was my time to put the video camera, my eyes, to videotape. Oh, I like that. Okay, I couldn't take too much. I used to run down my basement, and my brother and my sister had records. Okay. Because I started playing drums at 5 years old and piano, and my father was a famous Latin percussion. He played with Tito Puentes and all these famous people, and they wasn't even famous yet. It was the beginning of salsa. My uncle's Papo Pepin. He's one of the best right now. He's still known as one of the best congueros in the world. He's respected like that. But my father was much better than my uncle. So, being in the music world of playing instruments, I had BT Express and Crown House Affair, some of the guys who lived on the block. So when I was 6, 7 years old, I was playing drums with these guys who were professional, artists, because they had big bands. And so when I was in the basement, my brother had, records, which I still got my brother's records, man. My brother, rest in peace, And I would play the records because I knew that he had those records, and I would go and practice whatever I saw them doing, the burns. Because gangs wasn't into freestyle. It was more burning.
Yeah, so that first generation or the first ones that you saw, they weren't doing too many slides or shuffles or anything.
Nah, it was all strict, rock, burning, ripping guys.
Okay.
You know, putting this puff in their mouth, you know, grabbing their face, stabbing, shooting them, you know, doing crazy stuff. And I was like, wow, I like that. You know, it's like almost like, you know, I do with the swords and stuff like that. So went to my basement practice. I say about a couple years later, my older brother says to the two twins, you know, Shorty and Angel, and Big Tito, yo, you got my brother downstairs doing that dance you guys do. Yo, he doesn't stop. He practices hours. My father hits him because he don't play the piano. So a lot of time my father would say, did you practice the song? Yeah, I would go and I didn't practice. I would make a wrong note and boom, I would get beat. I would get a whooping, bro. Wow. I would get a whooping,
so
bro.
Your father had a plan for you to become a musician.
He wanted me to be a musician like him.
Okay.
I didn't want to be a musician. I wanted to be a fighter, really, you know. But the dancing was more the thing. So my parents didn't know when I was growing up a little bit, as I knew the rebels, you know, they were older. So let's say there was a younger kid that they did something to them or they disliked somebody in the family. They would put me to fight the kid because I was my age.
Oh, man. So
then they made me the baby rebels. And Big Victor, his older brother, who was the leader of the TNT Rockers, that he became TNT Rockers later on, he was in the baby rebels with me. So there was a couple of guys, just a couple of us. We were in the baby rebels. So we would hitch on the bus, back of the bus. We would do crazy stuff, man. I'm telling you, my mom would have knew, she would have beat the hell out of me. But she didn't know at the time. So by the time 10 years old, like 9, 10 years old, that's when my brother told them, he told me to come to the corner. They was on Cornelia and Wilson. And my brother says, listen, Ralph, show them the dance that you practice. I was scared. I was like, what did my brother just get me into? Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't do no dance. He's like, no, do the dance. You be practicing all the day. Show them. So, all right, they put music. I started dancing. You know, the jerk wasn't the jerk like I do today. It was more kick down, come down, boom, bam, bam, stab, boom, bam, you know, doing crazy stuff. And they was amazed. They was like, yo, this kid is good. It's like, yo, shorty, you keep it up. Why you didn't tell us you dance? And I was like, no, I didn't know. You know, until later on, I was saying, I didn't want to let them know, my family know that I dance because then they're going to know that I was a baby rebel. I can't let them know. You told me not to tell them. Oh, okay, you're good. Okay, you're good. You did a good job. You did a good job. So then from there, that's when they, you know, told me, yo, keep it up. You're going to be a good dancer, bro. You're going to be a good rocker, bro. Keep it up, keep it up. And I kept it up from there, and I met Carlos from Dynasty, and we went to see a karate movie. It was called Dynasty something. He's like, yo, I want to make a rocking crew. And I was like, all right, this is 1973. I was like, okay, what do you want to call it? He's like, I like that name, Dynasty. I was like, Dynasty? He goes, you know what it means? I don't know what it means. He went home a couple of days later, looked at the dictionary, and it meant like being king, being the best.
Yeah.
He said, we're going to be Dynasty Rockers.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, okay.
So that first incarnation of the crew, that it was, you said you and Carlos.
Yeah, and Danny Boy was there too.
And Danny Boy. So it was, were the original members you, Carlos, and Danny Boy?
At that moment, he made us, and then he put white boy Tony. His name's Tony Velez. He came later because we all went to the school 162, which was 1976. But you know, that's when we couldn't wear colors back then.
Yeah.
But we were still dancing, like, you know, just dancing in parties and schools and stuff like that. But that in 76 is when we were able to put the name on the shirt.
So that early incarnation of Dynasty, like, how did you guys practice? How did you guys get records? How did you guys, like, just take me through that time period?
Well, some records, I had records, so I was the record guy.
Yeah, when you first started with them, like, what was the goal? What was the mission?
I had records. Like, Danny Boy had records because Danny's older brother Cookie had records, you know, and he was a good hustle dancer, you know. Rest in peace. That guy could dance, man. And you know, but Danny Boy had records, so he practiced where he practiced. If Carlos didn't have no music, then I would practice. Carlos could come practice with me, or he'll practice with Danny Boy. So you know, eventually, whoever had records, we could practice in each other's house. You know what I'm saying? So, but me, I was more on my own because I was still into martial arts. I was playing baseball. There was a lot of time I couldn't practice with those guys, so I had to practice on my own.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. But, you know, because I was into sports also, you know.
So what was like, coming from that era, you and your friends just started this crew. What was like the first major battle that you guys had? Like, it could have been in the streets, or it could have been at some of these jams.
Well, it's just going to black parties.
Okay.
I mean, like 76, 77 is really when a lot of crews started coming. You know, Touch of Rock was out also. They were called the Midnight Breakers at first, and then it became Touch of Rock. And then we had Nasty Rockers, Brooklyn Rockers. We had MTC, and then became MTC Jitterbugs. And we had the PR Rockers, Imperial Rockers. And then most of us also, like Dynasty and Touch of Rock, MTC, we had a DJ crew.
Nice.
So I got into DJing because I knew Flowers, Maboya, Plummer. I knew DJ Amp. You know, he sold me my first show in Vegas. You know, I was working for the Summer Youth Program, and I was getting like $1.95 an hour or something. And he sold me my first show in Vegas for $100 back in the days.
Wow.
And you know, it gave me an amp and everything. I had 2 different turntables until I was able to buy turntables and stuff like that, and a mixer and stuff. So I was using my father's equipment for, you know, also for sound too, but my father didn't want me to use his stuff, so that's when I got the speakers and stuff. And I had a big basement. So, you know, because my brother used to do, back in the days, you know, the older people, like my older brother and sister, they would have basement parties. Yeah. And they would have it with the blue light, with the posters that glow in the dark, you know, with the peace sign, the guy with the afro, Bruce Lee poster glows in the dark.
Yeah, black light.
And yeah, so I would be sneaking, watching them doing the slow dance, the 500. Because a lot of people don't know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, let me tell you something.
You gotta break that down.
Listen, that 500, that's a jam. You know.
It was a song or was a dance?
No, it's a dance.
The 500.
Yeah, you dance to like, you know, like Always and Forever, whatever.
Okay. So like a slow.
It's a slow jam. You know how people dance slow, 1, 2, they go 1, 2. Yeah. This one you go 1, 2, 1, 2, and you grind all the way going down. You grind all the way coming back. So one day my brother, I thought he was downstairs. He coming down the stairs. He said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Bobby, I'm just looking. He's like, "Don't tell mommy that I let you look, okay?" Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna tell her. I'm seeing them. I'm like, damn, a lot of things going on in here. You know?
You can't wait to get older.
I can't wait to get older, man. I want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was interesting. You know, my life. You know,
at that time.
My brother was like a father to me also. You know what I'm saying? I had my father, but
he was like,
my father was strict. Yeah. You know, and that wasn't his father. So we had different fathers, but. You know, my older sister, my older brother, man, I learned a lot from my older brother. I was 14 years old. I'm going to show you a picture. I was 14 years old. I was boxing 147. And people thought I was 26 years old, 25 years old. That's how I had a big afro, bro, mustache already. You know, I could show you my graduation picture, my junior high school picture. You think I was a teacher, bro. I'm standing next to the teacher. Everybody think that I was the teacher. And I'm like, no, that's me. They're like, they have to look really good. Oh, that's you. And I'm like, yeah, I was a drummer in the band, you know what I'm saying? Like, but, you know, there were so many crews back in the days, like 100 crews, man. Yeah. You would go to El Cactus. It was called El Cactus. The guy would print shirts, right? The letters. He would say, look at the board and tell me what number you are. And you would tell him who's your crew. And you didn't have a crew. Your crew wasn't there, he put your crew down. Boom, boom. You know?
And the list was long.
Long, bro. And we battle, but the battle that everybody knows that was epic. Like you had Dynamic versus Rocksteady, was Touch of Rock versus Dynasty.
When we hear of like Brooklyn and the Rock, we always hear of there were so many crews, so many crews. What do you think made Touch of Rock and Dynasty so elite that your two crews stand out when it comes to Brooklyn crews and rocking? Because Dynasty and Touch of Rock, not just from you, I've heard that name even before. Mm-hmm. So what do you think made your two crews elite at that time?
We just had the best dancers, man.
Just had the best dancers.
Yeah, we had bad dancers. They had good dancers, we had good dancers. You know, but to me, if I'm gonna say the King Uprock of that era would be Danny Boy.
Danny Boy.
Yeah, Danny Boy was outstanding, man. Outstanding. He had his own style, smooth. Carlos was wild and fast, but he was like, you know, the record going on 45. He was the record's on 33 going slow, and he was on 45, but he would be on beat, but he was fast. You know, he was flexible for his size.
What were you guys influenced by that? What were you guys watching? What were you guys listening to? Or what were you guys doing? What were you guys influenced by that gave you guys that particular style?
Well, like I said, there were so many other dancers before us. The Little Dave, Noel, Vinny,
So
Nicky.
you were seeing all these people?
The other guy, yeah, because we would see them in when we were able to go to certain clubs.
Okay.
Then we seen them. I knew Little Dave. I didn't even know I knew Little Dave as a boxer. I didn't even know Little Dave was the dancer.
Wow.
Until I saw him dance. I was like, hey, that's Little Dave, but he's the boxer. And because they would say Little Dave and Dave. I was like, Dave, who's Dave? But they would have said Little Dave. I would have knew Little Dave because Little Dave, I knew him as a boxer.
Yeah.
I didn't know they said Dave. I was like, Dave, but there's 100 Daves. There's like, there was 100 Papos, there's 100 Juans and Jose's, So it wasn't like too many Danny boys. There wasn't too many, Ralphs, So that's why, but we went out, a lot of us went through initial. I was always RC, That's why we went, Certain guys they had a nickname or they used their real name. Danny's name is Danny, but then he, Danny Boy. So everybody knew he was the only Danny Boy. Yeah. We had a Crazy Legs from the Rebels. And then years later, we had a Crazy Legs who was a DJ, who rest in peace. He was a good DJ. He danced. His brothers used to DJ when his little brother used to dance, DJ with him. And people know about DJ Crazy Legs,
So take me through like the battle formalities at that time. Like how were battles approached? Was it like today, someone's freestyling, whatever, the song is playing, whether it's Listen to Me, Yellow Sunshine, then someone just steps in front of him and that's the battle right there. Was it more formal, informal back then? Was it more, did you arrange it? Did you say, Monday, 3 o'clock outside, we're going to do this? How were the battles taking place at that time?
Back then, a lot of battles started by going to block parties.
Okay.
We knew this group was there. Oh, they're having a black party Saturday. Other groups, all of us, we all try to go meet at that place, and whoever stepped on the floor, whatever.
Did you do whole songs at that time?
Or we did whole songs, yes.
Or was it a thing of you dance however long you feel like it, then your boy jumps in for you to finish the song?
To tell you the truth, if you can dance the whole song, you dance. But some guys couldn't. So what happens if, let's say you're dancing in front, I'm behind you, you're dancing, and you're getting tired, I tap you on the shoulder, and you let me get in, and I'll get some.
Okay.
And then maybe his boy want to tap on his shoulder, he gets some. But a guy like me, Danny Boy, we stood there all day. He was like, yo, bring your whole crew. Yeah. We taking them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way. Little Edwin, Carlos' little brother, the reason we battled Touch a Rock, because Carlos' little brother Edwin wanted to battle Touch a Rock for one of their vests.
Okay.
He's like, yo, I want those vests. I'm like, yo, don't start no trouble, bro. Oh, I want one of their vests. Mako was a dope Touch a Rock. He was a junior, but I think he was better than most of the big guys, Mako. And what happened with Mako was when we went to Bushwick, as a joke, they slipped something in his drink, and he never became normal again. He bugged out for the rest of his life.
Do you know what they put in his drink, or it was just something next?
It's something like, I don't know, like ecstasy. Not ecstasy back then, but they mixed something. I don't know what they put, like a pill.
Oh, man.
And he was never the same. That kid was outstanding, bro. His brother is Noel. Noel, I'm going to, well, no, not Noel from Touch a Rock. His brother was one of the original guys that danced with Little Dave and those guys, first generation rockers.
Okay.
And Noel and his partner, Vinny, were in the Latin Symbolics with the guys from the Bronx. So they were the only two guys in Bushwick or Brooklyn that were in the Latin Symbolics. I hear people say, oh, I was in Latin, telling people that, because this what happened. Papa 774 said he was a Latin Symbolics, and Willie Boy had to call him up and tell him, yo, you need to stop saying that because you was never in that. The only Latin people in the Latin Symbolic was Vinny and Noel.
Okay.
Let's put it straight. I'm not coding nothing. Forget about that. Let's talk truth here.
Yeah.
You was never in the Latin Symbolics. Never. Stop lying. You was never down with the Latin Symbolics.
So, with all that history of Brooklyn, right? Mm-hmm. Brooklyn is emerging. You guys have a lot of rock crews. Mm-hmm. You guys are rocking. Talk to me about some of the major competitions. You talk about the churches. A lot of these banquet halls used to host battles and things like that. Basement parties. Like what were the organized events at that time that had hustle parties, rock parties, hustle parties, rocking competitions, rocking routine competitions. You said St. Barbara's?
Yeah. Well, we had St. Barbara's, we had St. Martin's, we had the Showboat.
Okay.
We had Sweet 16, was a little place on Myrtle that's not there no more. We had the Sweet Rubies used to be a roller skating ring. And
Sweet Rubies?
Yeah, Sweet Rubies on Myrtle and Wyckoff. It was a skating ring. And then the back, people don't skate, you used to dance or whatever. And then later on it became a bingo. Now it's a Platinum Fitness or whatever. We had St. Joseph.
Okay.
You know, there's another church. A lot of the churches used to lend us use the space. You know, and then like when you talk to Little Dave and those, they had places where guys opened their basement it was like more like it's like a bar, but it was a basement where they used to dance at.
Okay.
So that I never danced at Jerry's on those places. I'm not gonna say I was there. I never danced there. I never danced at the Salsa. You know, I danced at the Broadway Chateau. That's on Bush, Broadway and Myrtle. They had a boxing gym, a martial, and they had a club upstairs. You know what I'm saying? Places like that. They had Skate City on Broadway and Myrtle. They had Paradise. Me and Carlos, I got a flyer. We did a rock jam. Me and him DJ. Me and Carlos DJ for when we were graduating from 162 junior high school in 1979. We DJed for the prom. Me and Carlos.
Nice.
My DJ name was DJ Mott.
DJ
M-O-T-T. Mott.
Mott. What was the meaning behind that name?
The master on the turntables.
Oh, the master on the turntables. That's
And he
what's
said
up.
everybody used to
They
tell
thought you was on Mott Street. They thought you was over there on Mott Street in Chinatown.
Yeah. But the thing is that with me with names, I had RC. I used to write Kaz as a graffiti.
Yeah.
I had Mott, you know, because I figured RC as a DJ, I had to look for a DJ name.
Yeah, DJ.
You know what I'm saying? Flowers and all these guys had a different name.
Yeah.
They didn't use their real name. So I was like, I'm gonna get me.
name.
So one day I was just looking at the applesauce Mott, you know, and then I started to figure, I like this name. I gotta figure what it's called, you know. So it came to my mind.
Yeah.
Master on the turntable. That's my name.
Wow.
And I got the flyers to show it.
So those churches, those places like that, what were some of the battles that took place in there that you saw that were like epic battles that took place in there?
Well, I mean, the biggest battle, like I say, was me and Dynasty versus Touch of Rock. But the MTC was another big crew. Nasty Rockers was another good crew. You know, Disco Rockers, Eddie. You know, he was he had a good crew. Now, this is why I gotta tell people. When Disco Rockers was out, Noel from Touch of Rock was really a disco rocker before he became a Touch of Rock.
Before he became Touch of Rock.
Yeah. And Touch of Rock, his cousin Snoopy was Buzz's partner.
Okay.
So then later on, he left Disco Rockers and we had Fast Rock, Juan and his brothers and a lot of the other guys, Lucky and all the guys. Lucky was one of Danny Boy's first partner and then he used to hang out with Fast Rock.
Okay.
Because they had a group called Fast Rock. But there's a group that a lot of people don't understand. You know, a lot of us were Puerto Rican, really.
Yeah.
98% of us was Puerto Rican. But they had brothers who rocked. Pretty Good Stacy. We had a couple other guys from different crews. Dodge is not Puerto Rican. They think he's Puerto Rican, but he hanged out with so much Puerto Rican, we adopted him, you know?
Like me.
So now he speaks Spanish and everything, you know? So, but there was a group called the Holy Rock Smokers and the Midnight Smokers.
And what neighborhood were they out of?
They're from Bushwick.
Oh, Bushwick.
And people was like, smokers, what is that? But they used to, do some crazy thing and go down and freeze, piss on you and do stuff. They had their own way of rocking, you know? Yeah. So a lot of times we used to rocking and they were like, what is that, But I knew those guys. So I learned how to do their dance. So I'm able to show it. You know what I'm saying?
So stylistically, you had Dynasty, you had Touch of Rock. I heard Phasic Rockers.
Phasic, yeah, that's my boy. All the guys in the Phasic Rockers, I know them. Fernando and all them guys.
Stylistically, what were the differences between you guys? I heard some crews or some certain neighborhoods did slides a lot more. Some neighborhoods moved a lot faster. Some neighborhoods jumped when they did their stuff.
A lot of
Were there neighborhood differences in terms of style? Did Bushwick have a style? Did East New York have a style? Did Bay Ridge have a style? Did Fort Greene have a style? what were the stylistically? What were the differences between like neighborhoods? And,
The style made a difference.
like, what did you see stylistically?
The style, Bay Ridge always had a different style. When you'd see them, you could tell they from Bay Ridge or Park Slope somewhere.
Okay.
You saw East New York. East New York was almost based like a Bushwick style, but they, it's like you could see, if you see like, for example, if you saw Kung Fu and you saw Jiu-Jitsu, you could tell the difference.
Yeah, you could tell the difference.
You know?
Yeah.
Now you see Arnis, you could tell the difference. Now it's 3 different styles. You know what I'm saying? But Bushwick, we know since the jerk came from Bushwick.
Okay.
All right?
Let's talk about that.
That's where.
Now, there's a lot of, I don't know why it's coming up now, or I don't know if at any other point in history that was a point of debate. The jerk is what kind of separates, rocking as a dance. If you take the jerk out and it's just freestyle and burning, you could almost say that's like adding just burning to top rock. But the jerk is like such an important thing. Like, why do you feel like that type of debate is being thrown in now to say the jerk didn't start in Bushwick, or people were jerking other boroughs or things like that? Like,
because I guess when a lot of the guys from Brooklyn, we saw Beach Street, and we saw Rocksteady in New York City Breakers doing that shuffle, shuffle, shuffle down. We was like, what are they doing? Are they trying to do the jerk, or they trying to make fun of us?
Okay, so
we took it serious.
So
like,
when you guys initially saw that scene, do you think that was like a diss?
Yeah, because we was like, if they're gonna rock, why they not jerking the way the jerk? And I mean, even Bay Ridge had a different jerk. Even the gangs had a different jerk.
Yeah.
But you could tell a jerk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of jerks, different styles of jerks.
Yeah.
But and the way you move your jerks, there's a back jerk, front jerk,
exactly.
side jerk, this jerk, double jerk, whatever. But when they did that shuffle, we was like, that's what are they doing? They trying to jerk when they go down, and we saw them they doing this and doing that. So we, a lot of guys took offense to it.
Yeah, but at that time too. Okay, so we're gonna segue. At that time too, so you guys are rocking. You got an established crew. You're doing all these jams. You're participating in jams. You're helping with organizing, DJing things. When breaking came to the forefront, maybe let's say the early '80s. What was your first introduction to seeing breaking, and like what did you think about it? Were you familiar with it? What was like your first time seeing someone go to the floor and spin and do all that?
That's good because now that's when I'm gonna show you my introduction. I had a friend of mine who lived in Queens and said, yo, they got these crews. I don't know if because I don't see you guys hit the floor, but I see them trying to rock, So once you come down, so me and Jeanette from Dynasty, we went to USA. So
USA, for people that don't know, is
USA is in Queens and Roosevelt, where it was a skating ring where Dynamic battle floor masters in That's Incredible or whatever.
Okay.
So we went there, and we, me watching, me and Jeanette. So they started to play uprock. So what I do, I said, Jeanette, jump on the floor and show them what you got. She goes, start jerking, burning all these guys. They're like, yo, where you from? They asked her, where you from? She's like, she's a little nervous. I said, yo, we're from Bushwick. We're Dynasty rockers. And they say they were dynamic rockers. They're dynamic rockers. I was like, yo, we have a dynamic spinners. And are you related to them? And they were like, no, we're dynamic rockers. We're breakers. It wasn't called B-boy. It's called breakers.
Okay.
I said, breakers? What is that? And then they're like hitting the floor or whatever. And I was like, and I remember that. I said, oh, I remember Kick from Touch and Rock. He used to hang out with the floor masters in the Bronx.
And this is the floor masters that eventually went to New York City Breakers.
Yeah, New York City Breakers. Okay. So he knew Fast Break.
Okay.
And that's how I got to meet Fast Break. He took me to the Bronx, and we went and met Fast Break, and I met the floor masters and all those guys. Then I started to see this dance. I was like, yo, we don't have this. We have rock. They were like, yo, we don't have that. We don't do what you do. Yeah. We do this. And I was like, well, okay. I want to learn that. So Dynamic in the beginning, Ace, Melly Mel, and those guys, before Mr. Glide and Spide and those guys, I didn't know who they were at first. I knew the Storia chapter, I knew Wavy Legs, I knew Kid Freeze, I knew those guys. I didn't know the Jamaica chapter.
Okay.
after I was down with them for a while, that I was learning, Viejo was going to go over to Cleveland, and Mastermind was coming up because he started Mastermind.
Yeah.
Right? Because the Mastermind was really from the Bronx.
Yeah.
And when they came to Brooklyn crew, Mastermind rockers.
Yeah.
But they wasn't good rockers. He wasn't a great rocker himself, but he knew a lot about breaking.
Yeah.
So, you know, I worked with him, and he was a good friend of mine. I mean, we were close, man. And he told me, "Oh, you want to get down with us?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm in Dynasty." He's like, I said, "But I break." So they had a guy who was called Original Man. He was a 5%er.
Original Man.
Yeah, that was his name.
Okay.
He was very close with Rafaela. I thought they were really brother and sister.
Man 3.
Yeah, but they call him Man 3, but we call him Original. That was his name. That was his name that we called him because he was a 5%er. Okay. Original Man.
So he subscribed to the Nation of Gaza Earth.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, I was talking with them, and they was like, "Yo, you want to get down?" I knew Dr. Love, you know, and Dr. Love was like, "Yo, get down with us." I was like, "Well, let me talk to Carlos and them." So I was like, "Yo, they got this dance called breaking," and I showed them the footwork, swipes, and everything. They was like, "We're not doing that."
So
they didn't want to do that.
You went and you got exposed to it, and you were open to learning. But when you kind of brought it back to the neighborhood to show them,
Bushwick,
they were like,
"No." A lot of guys didn't want that.
Okay.
FBI crew, which Tony T, he was the leader of the FBI crew. We had HBO also, those guys. But he was the leader of Born to Rock.
Okay.
Right? He lived right around the corner from Carlos, from Dynasty. And I'm like, "Yo, Tony, you gotta learn this dance, bro." But I used to pop too.
Yeah.
So he was like, "I like the popping, but what's that?" It's called breaking. He's like, "I ain't getting my clothes dirty, my sneakers all messed up. Nah, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
A lot of crews didn't want to do it.
So do you feel that when breaking took the spotlight it did in terms of how it exploded pop culture wise, do you feel that it overshadowed what Brooklyn was doing with the rock?
Yes, because there was.
Did that force you guys to have to kind of switch over and focus on breaking? Or were there people like, you know what, you guys could still do that, but I'm going to keep rocking, whatever?
Yeah, not too many percentage went into the breaking.
Okay.
Only guys like Self and Incredible Breakers, Willow, and those guys, they did a little bit of the breaking. So what happened was they were called credible rockers. So when they went to Funhouse, they met Chino and Brian. They got roasted, and they left because they were going to call themselves Credible Breakers.
Yeah.
From Credible Rockers to Credible Breakers because they figured they were breakers.
Yeah.
When they got roasted, they just left the breakers alone and still with the Credible Rockers. That was their name, Credible Rockers. But they did battle Chino and Brian, but Chino and Brian was at another level.
So,
none of us was at,
yeah.
you know.
So it's the 80s. You got now breaking, popping.
Yeah.
You got popping. You got
locking,
and you got
house.
You got
Huevo,
house, Huevo,
lofting.
Where were some of the major clubs that now all of this came together in one? I know Roxy's, of course, is the main.
Roxy's. Well, Roxy's, Funhouse, what's Broadway 96. It depends on who was the DJ.
Who was the DJ?
Because certain DJs, like if you went to Starship or something like that, it was all disco, and you know, everybody was dressed up. That wasn't, Copa wasn't having that. You had to go dress.
Okay.
You could do rocking maybe a little bit. They played that, but you wasn't doing no breaking or nothing. So they didn't allow that. It was more of an adult club. You know, you wanted to be older, then you went there. You snuck. I had a fake ID, so I didn't care.
So you go into these clubs. Let's take a club like Roxy, right? Yeah. Did you ever have a chance to go to Roxy?
Oh, yeah, I went to Roxy. I saw Flip from Scrambling Feet battle the Flip from Dynamic.
Okay. So when you get into Roxy's or you get into an area where everyone from different neighborhoods, different boroughs, how would describe that of like people you've never seen before, different boroughs, different crews, different. How was that environment? Did it get hectic in there? I think
it was a good experiment for every borough.
Okay.
Because Manhattan had breakers, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Long Island. So now you at a jam where you know there's gonna be a lot of breakers, and you're gonna say to yourself, how good are you?
Yeah. So
This is your test.
It was a testing ground.
Oh, it's a testing ground.
Did people rock in there as prominently as the rock was going on in Brooklyn? Were there rock battles in there?
Nah, not too many, because a lot of those guys that were breaking didn't rock.
Okay, so
So if I went in there and started rocking, they would look at me like, oh, no, hit the floor.
Really?
No, they didn't want that. They knew if you was good, they saw that how good you was, they wasn't gonna do that.
So when you went in there and you rocked, everyone just...
If I did rocking,
Yeah.
like, yo, who wants to rock? They were like, nah, they would hit the floor. They were like, just keep going to the floor.
Wow.
They wasn't paying attention to me. Like, yo, you could do whatever you want. We're not battling you.
Wow.
We're battling, this is what we want.
So the rock... So it's safe to say the rock was more prominent in Brooklyn, because if that was the attitude in Manhattan at a major club like the Roxy's where everyone was in, then was that your experience everywhere you went outside of Brooklyn? How were the people outside of Brooklyn?
Listen, I
receptive to
remember
rock?
my sister in 1980, before they opened Lincoln Hospital on 149 Grand Concourse. My sister moved right across the street from Lincoln Hospital.
Okay.
And there was, like I said, I had family that went. I moved back to the Bronx in the 80s because my mom and my father split up, so I couldn't take it. So I moved my sister for a while, and then my mother wanted to move to Burnside. And what happened was, when I moved to Burnside, not even a month we lived there. Some guy, these guys in the Bronx was trying to get fresh with my little sister. I'm like, yo, dude, that's my little sister, bro. She's only like 12, 13 years old, bro. And they was like, yo, what you want to do? Like, what you want to do? So back then, I didn't care. I had a pistol. I was like, yo, what's up? So I started laying people out because they didn't know I was a boxer and a martial artist. So my mom was like, oh, why are you starting to fight? We just moved here. Now this and this and that. So like a month after that, my mother decided to move right back to Bushwick. We found another apartment and we just moved back because she figured if we stayed there, either I'm going to kill somebody or they're going to have to kill me.
So it's safe to say back then was rough. Like, you couldn't just go to different neighborhoods.
No, it was rough,
do
man.
what you want to do.
You know, guys was acting stupid, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and
how did that correlate into the dance? Like you say that you used to go to different block parties or
see, if you went to Bushwick, a different block party, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was like, you went to East New York and you won a contest, they were chasing you. They were trying to kill you.
In East New York?
Yeah, I could tell you right now, because Manny, Froggy, Chop, and all those guys, they won a dance contest. Manny went to East New York, and they beat him up, man, because he won.
Damn, that's cool. And that's how it was. That was just...
And you know, I'm sorry, Manny, but I got to tell the truth, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and I told Manny, yo, what's up? You want to go back? We can handle this.
Yeah.
I'll bring the rebels, whatever. And he was like, nah, I'm leaving it alone.
Yeah.
You know, Manny was in Dynasty, really, yes, but he was more into the freestyle type of thing. You know, he didn't really join all the rock content. Like, the one who held it down was Danny Boy.
Yeah.
Danny Boy hold the name Dynasty. When Carlos wasn't around, Danny Boy hold it. We used to call, let's say like we would have founder, and Danny Boy would be FD1, meaning he would be the founder one.
Yeah.
You know, and Carlos would be the founder, and he's founder one, then we might have a founder two. Some people have founder two, some people have founder one. But Danny Boy hold down Dynasty, bro. And everybody and their mother will tell you that's the truth.
So it's the 80s, you know, within the context of history, they would call this the exploitation era. So an era where the movies was popping, the Wild Style, Beat Street, Breaking 2, you know, it was breaking in cereal commercials, breaking for the Pope, breaking for this person. In that era, were you able to capitalize off of the exploitation era with the dance? Like, did you get a chance to travel? Did you get a chance to perform?
I got to travel some tours. I did a tour with for the Beat Street movie, like to let people know about the release. I got a picture. Me,
like a promo tour.
Yeah, me, my boy Richie Rock, because he was a part of Dynamic, and then we became Incredible Body Mechanics.
Okay.
When I left Dynamic, I became Mastermind, but then I was down with them because Richie and Pablo and all of us. And there was another Tiny that used to be part of Incredible Breakers, then became Dynamic Breakers. Because we became Dynamic Breakers. My partner was Mr. Style.
Okay.
You know? So then after that, because some of us left Dynamic Rockers. It's because of some issues, but we left. Spider, Airborne, Kano, Flip, you know, Wancho, all of us, they became Dynamic Breakers. We had Dynamic Dolls, Kim, We had Susie. We had Brenda K. Starr. You know, these are the people you got to do. Like I tell people, you hear it, do your research now. Ask them. They're on the line. Ask them. Ask them if this is the truth. If they want to tell you why they left, that's up to them.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, there was a separation. And you know, like I said, and me, Richie Rock, and my partner, Mr. Starr, we went to Virginia. And it was funny because they had a Michael Jackson performing, and that's the first time I met Johnny O and the girl that he used to sing with. She used to sing the slow jam, Stacy Lattisaw.
Okay.
They were there.
And this was what? This was for a promo tour for.
Yeah, they had something like for B Street, but they had a live people, other special guests performing, and we had to do a showcase. And there was some kids that they were doing Filipino martial arts because my partner, Mr. Felix, Mr. Style, they call him, Navidad. He's a Arnis instructor. His name is Felix Cortez. You catch him on Facebook. He still does martial arts all over the world. He does acting now in movies and stuff like that. And he was teaching these kids that knew his sensei that they were they were Philippine fighters, and we trained them for this big dance in Virginia for a world championship, and they won. Okay. So we were there, and we were there to do a showcase. So we did the showcase.
And that was like one. Did you guys ever travel international?
No, well, Felix and all of us, we were dynamic. We was on the Fresh Fest. Okay. I couldn't go on the Fresh Fest on the tours because my mom was kind of ill. Yeah. So I didn't go nowhere. Okay. A lot of times they would tell me, "Oh, Felix was like, yo, try to come here and this and that." I remember Spider. We did a thing for Walt Disney, the Young King. It was this kid. I forgot his name, Shag, something like that. He was pretty famous because he was a singer or something, and we did a movie. They were doing like a short film. Okay. And me, Spider, and Felix, we did the breaking in the park there. I can't find the footage and stuff like that, but there was other things I did. Went to Puerto Rico on my own. I did some stuff over there.
And this is all during like the exploitation.
Yeah, 80s and stuff like that.
So when it started to dry up, mm-hmm. What were some of the signs that it was like dance in general in New York City, or from your point of view, like when it started to die, mm-hmm. did you keep going or did you die along with it? Did you take a break alongside with it dying, or
the breaking I really didn't, because every time there was a block party, I'll be the only one throwing down.
You'd be the only one still.
Or uprocking and popping and stuff like that.
So you still kind of maintain your presence at not.
And then I DJ also, because I used to DJ weddings or Sweet 16s or, people hire me. I always had a party every Friday and Saturday. Yeah. Plus I worked. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I was going to school. I paid for my own medical school. I did dialysis for 13 years. I'm a phlebotomist. I was in the police department for 8 years. I'm a custodian now for since 2000. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm 19 years. I only got 4 years to retire. I always have, I did electrical work. I did plumbing. I was always working, but I still did the dance
on the side.
But
what were you seeing, like for you? What were you seeing in the 80s that things started to slow down? Like what were you seeing?
I think when the commercial people came involved, they started to want to take control, and they were raping the dancers and everybody else. The musicians and people who perform. I mean, the rappers always maintained, really it was breaking and graffiti that was the first people saw it, that brought it to the table. But when rap came in, I guess rap took over, and then everybody forgot about the graffiti and the dancing.
So did you see in the neighborhoods people just quit?
So a lot of people quit. A lot of people got into drugs. Some people selling the drugs, become a big drug dealer. Okay. Carlos from Dynasty was a big drug dealer. A lot of people, even famous DJs, like back in the days, from Bushwick, from other crews, they became big drug dealers. It's like, that game ain't paying no money, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. But like guys like Crazy Rob, who was always throwing the jams. I mean, you got to give it to Crazy Rob. He was the one who kept rock alive almost, because he was the promoter to put the jams out. So Crazy Rob was a big part in keeping the rock in Brooklyn, but a lot of times, I got to tell you, people say, well, why it was so big in Brooklyn that people didn't come from other boroughs? Nobody asked that question. That was a question I never even heard. And I told somebody, you know what's the problem? That you talk about Bay Ridge, or you talk about Park Slope, or you talk about East New York, or Fort Greene, or the Bronx, or whatever, or Queens. Bushwick was the biggest, highest thing on crime. And if you came from the next town over to Bushwick,
there's a problem.
There was a problem.
All right, so obviously, man, there's so many different versions of this story, but I want to hear it. And I think I've heard it already, but how did you get the name King Uprock?